Hello everyone, and we've got a very special video today with two very special guests, the Olympus Report and that PJO guy.
Hello.
Hi.
We have a very different type of video. Today, we are going to select two characters from the Riordanverse at random, and then we are going to analyze their intellect, strength, power, and skills to see who would win a death battle.
Death battle.
Let's do it.
And our first character here is Zoe Nightshade. Interesting.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
Calypso.
Oh, okay.
That's actually pretty good, I can't lie.
That's actually a really good matchup. And they're sisters, right?
Correct. They are sisters.
That's even more interesting.
All right. Atlas.
Yeah.
What are our base thoughts for this fight? I think my money would go on Zoe at the moment, because even though Calypso has plenty of magic, she does have experience from the Titan War with the gods, the original Titan War. She has been out of action for quite a bit of time, and she does have the ability to use magic still. It's not quite what it used to be. And Zoe Nightshade, just by being one of the Hunters of Artemis, makes her incredibly strong and incredibly fast, and extraordinarily accurate with a bow. My assumption being that she would blitz Calypso and then shoot her with an arrow before she's able to do anything too significant with magic. Though Calypso might be able to defend herself at least for a little while.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Yeah. I think Calypso could definitely put up a fight and defend herself. But I think Zoe definitely comes out on top just because of her experience, one, and like you said, being a Hunter of Artemis. Increased agility, increased strength, great with a bow. You have the ability to use like hunting dogs and wolves and eagles. So I think all that combined with the fact that like Calypso is not a fighter. Like she doesn't have really any of that experience.
Yeah, I'm remembering that one scene where she like tried to karate chop the whatever the monster was, and she broke her leg or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. Like, I think it's close because her magic is very powerful. But I know that by the end of Trials of Apollo, she hasn't quite got her powers
Fully back.
as powerful. Yeah, fully back, right? So, like, if we're comparing like her at full strength, or are we comparing her as she was at the end of
Just for the sake of the video, I think we should say she is at full strength.
full strength? Okay, I think based off of that, I'm not sure. We've never seen her like use it to attack people when she's at full strength, right? It's unless like it's somewhere in the lore, but I've never been able to distinguish. I never even knew she was powerful until we got to Tyrant's Tomb and she's using it. Sorry, not Tyrant's Tomb. We got to Trials of Apollo, and she's like kicking ass with this power. But on the island, she's just like using it to clean clothes and all that stuff. So, but that's. I remember. I think they even said that she might be as powerful as Percy. I think that's brought up somewhere in the text, or like she's as powerful as something like that, which is a pretty big praise to give to Calypso. If we're assuming that she's at full strength in this fight, then I don't know, she might be more powerful.
Yeah, the most significant thing I can remember her doing in Trials of Apollo was during Dark Prophecy when they were escaping Commodus's home base, and she busted the net open, which we later learned she didn't do on her own. Brito Martis, the goddess of nets, gave her a hand.
I think based off of the idea that her powers are very range-based, and they can pretty much like just be used at will. Like, she doesn't even have to, like, who knows how much wind spirits she can control at what extent. We're not really sure as far as I'm aware. So it's kind of a tough one, actually, but I think she wins, personally. That's my intake.
Really? You're going with Calypso?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just based off of her abilities alone, like, I think are just so powerful, but that's just my thoughts.
It's difficult to judge her at her strongest since we never actually get to see her at her strongest in the series.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fair. I do understand your side of the argument, though. I mean, if I didn't remember that little tidbit from the books, but I mean, if she's as powerful as Cersei, and I think given maybe preparation, I think she could definitely maybe come out on top. For me, I think I'm still going Zoe, though.
I would also go with Zoe, because magic is certainly not nothing, there is the need to cast it, and the thing with the Hunters of Artemis is that they have to be skilled in stealth and speed in order to defeat their prey. And Calypso, she does have experience. She's around the same age as Zoe, weirdly enough, since they're both from ancient times. However, Zoe has spent the intervening years hunting with Artemis, no doubt hunting many, many dangerous beasts. And we also cannot forget how fast the Hunters of Artemis are.
Okay, perfect. Let's get into it then.
Yes, should we tally them up?
Alright, so, starting with Zoe, and starting off with our first category, intellect.
I would give her I think I'm going to give her 4. Because she was the lieutenant of Artemis for hundreds of years, which is like no small feat. I mean, you have to lead this group of warriors, strategize in battle. But I don't think she's necessarily a 5. So I feel like 4.
Yeah, agreed. Being lieutenant of Artemis for hundreds of years is definitely not nothing, but it's also at least somewhat narrow since you're only hunting monsters. Usually you're not fighting other demigods or any other humanoid entity.
No, she's very, very smart. Not as smart as like Annabeth, of course, but definitely up there with the 4.
Okay, next category here is strength. I think we have to give her a 5 for strength. The Hunters of Artemis, in addition to speed, are also known to be incredibly strong.
I would somewhat agree with that. I feel like for me, I think I'm closer to a 4 for strength. But I could go either way.
I think I'm in agreement with the 4, especially if you're comparing it to like a lot of other characters. We do have to remind ourselves that she did get killed. So like I think she's very strong, especially when you see her in the books. Like she's absolutely probably one of the leaders during that quest in the Titan's Curse. But to compare her to like maybe even like Jason or Percy, I think is a tough ask. Or even Talia, right? So yeah, I think I'd give her probably a 4 in strength.
Yeah, I agree with 4.
Okay, alright, 4.
This is a hard one because I would consider her like hunter, increased agility and strength in the strength category. Powers wise, does Zoe have any powers besides like being good with a bow?
That's more of a skill thing.
That you're right. That is a skill thing.
I've just checked up on the wiki. Apparently she can talk to animals.
Right. Every Hunter of Artemis can do that.
Nothing quite notable here.
I think I would consider the strength as a power because in this instance, when you get that blessing, at least I'm wrong, but when you get the blessing, you become more powerful?
I believe so.
There is a description I feel I should bring up here. One of the most memorable descriptions I ever read. I remember when I read this, when I first read Titan's Curse when I was 11, I believe, is specifically that Dr. Thorne, the Manticore, fired stingers towards the Hunters of Artemis, and each and every one of them was shot mid-flight by an arrow. And Percy specifically described it as greater accuracy even than the Apollo kids from camp. Now, I'm not actually sure if this was any of the hunters or if it was specifically Artemis herself, but I felt it should be brought up.
Yeah. No, that's a great...
Was it confirmed that it was Zoe that did that, or was that Artemis?
I think it was all the Hunters of Artemis.
I was under the impression that it might be all the hunters, unless it was Artemis with with like a supernatural goddess speed firing.
I mean, we can assume she has great accuracy with a bow, but I would still put that under skill.
I think she's very high. I don't think their powers specifically are extremely powerful. I'd give her a 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Her skill, on the other hand, I give a 4.
Yeah, because it's not just her strength, it's her speed. Remember during Titan's Curse, there were like, 50 capture the flag matches when both Percy and Thalia were present fighting on the side of the campers, and the hunters won every single match. And we only saw the last one.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it like a running joke that Camp Half-Blood has never beat the Hunters of Artemis?
Thalia thought she could manage it, and she got angry at Percy when he left his post. So looking at skill, I think she ought to get a 5 for skill.
Okay, I'm okay with giving her a 5 for skill.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, she's got way more experience than most other characters that we've seen in the universe.
She is constantly in battle, right? For years. Okay. Yeah, so 5 for that one. What does it tally up to?
Our grand total here is 16.
Oh, that's pretty good. Better than Mallory Keene.
It is better than Mallory Keene.
I think everybody's going to be better than Mallory Keene.
Speaking of, now it's time to look at Calypso. So, starting with intellect, I'm thinking of giving her a 4 for intellect. She has been around quite a long time, but most of that time she was on Ogygia.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Being a sorceress and having been around during the ancient times would give her quite a bit of knowledge of the world.
For sure. I think...
And I mean, you have to be smart to be a sorceress too, I feel like. I mean, I remember in Sea of Monsters when Cece was like trying to get Annabeth to join her, she's like, you'd make the perfect sorceress because you're smart.
And I think at the end of Trials of Apollo, she went to band cap, and you gotta be smart to play an instrument, so she has to be smart.
There you go, yeah.
There you go.
Alright, so
we'll give her a 4 for intellect. Perfect.
4.
4 for intellect.
Second category, strength.
Who would like to start with the strength? I could go first.
Alright, you go first.
I mean, if we're talking about, like, physical strength, yeah, like, she's a 1.
Really? Okay.
Actually, no, wait. She was training by the end of Trials of Apollo.
Being part Titan would make her significantly stronger than your average mortal, though not necessarily as strong as a demigod, an Inheryi, or a hunter.
I'd give her a 2.
I think I'd give her a 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I was gonna say 2, but yeah, 3 works.
I'd rate her about average in terms of strength.
Yeah, I'm okay giving her a 3.
You know what? Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Alright, 3 for strength. Now, powers. Probably the biggest category that she has over Zoe.
Yeah. I would say a 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 5.
Yeah, I agree. Magic is very versatile and can do quite a lot of things. Though the best display we've ever seen of that was Son of Magic, with Cersei being a close second, and they can do quite a lot, from transformation to teleportation.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Alright, our final category, skill. Yeah, she's been out of it a while.
She's not really skilled.
I just feel like she has no battle really. I mean, she does a little bit in the Trials of Apollo.
But it's not really enough to
justify. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Alright, giving her a 2 in skill.
Yeah, let's do it. What does that give her? I'm curious.
Possibly the closest match that the three of us have looked at. It's 16 to 14.
Oh.
Zoe edges her out by 2 points.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be the case. I feel like this is a very close match.
Their power sets are very different, but there are ways they would try to counter each other.
It's very interesting to me, whereas Zoe is more skilled with skill and less with powers, but Calypso's more powerful with powers and less with skill. Yeah. So it's like, give or take, what do you value? I think you're right. I think Zoe definitely, now looking at all the stats here, you're right. Like her skill with the whole capture the flag, winning capture the flag all the time, being super powerful with the bow and smart and being very strong, powers are only going to get you so far. It's like you can't mash the same buttons so many times or else, you're going to lose, right? the more options you have, the better you're going to be in a fight. So I completely agree. Zoe would win this fight, but just by a little bit, because I think Calypso's powers are super strong.
Okay. With that wrapping up our first match, I'm gonna go spin the wheel for the next two. Ethan Nakamura! Not what I was expecting. We have another possibly close match. It's Piper MacLeod.
Okay.
That's going to be fun. Okay, let's run it.
Okay, so general thoughts. I'm thinking this is maybe the closest match the three of us are going to be looking at. Both of them are definitely skilled. They've been in quite a lot of battles, despite how young they both are. And they have powers that are a lot more intangible. Piper's Charm Speak versus Ethan's debatable power over luck, vengeance, and justice. We need to remember that Ethan somehow almost striked Percy in his Achilles spot. And the only reason Percy survived is because Annabeth saved him.
Yeah. So he just kind of had like this sense in battle.
Okay. This is a very interesting one.
So I'm looking at his ability on Wiki, and it says it can be assumed that Ethan can control the likelihood of good and bad things that happen to individuals. So I feel like he does have some sway over luck in battle.
Yeah, it's an assumption that we can make. He's not the child of Nike or Taichi, I believe the name is. However, Nemesis being the goddess of revenge does tend to turn things against whoever the enemy is. And a use of Charm Speak would likely fall under that, because we have to remember that Charm Speak is not an instant win. If it's used subtly, it can be very powerful. However, if one notices that they're being Charm Speaked, whether they're a god or even a mortal, that can break the effect.
And Ethan is definitely very smart, especially in battle. I mean, my understanding was Charm Speak works better when you have a sense of your opponent and you understand the mindset of your opponent. Like, that's why it worked so well against Zethys and Cal, because like Piper understood what they wanted, and that was like kind of something that Hazel taught her when she was learning, or something Piper taught Hazel when she was learning Control of the Mist. It's like you got to tell them what they want to hear, but spin it your way and make them perceive it the way they want to perceive it. And I feel like Piper doesn't really have a sense at all of who Ethan is. So she could try and Charm Speak, but I think Ethan, like after the first time, would be wiser to it and would be more immune to it. So I think it really comes down more to skill for this one.
There is also another key to Charm Speak. In the beginning, Piper primarily Charm Speaks by putting her full force of will behind her voice. However, later on, particularly after the quest on the Argo 2 starts, she notices during a fight with a goddess that Charm Speak is significantly more powerful, or more useful even, when it's used subtly.
Yeah, this is hard. Originally, my first thought was Piper was going to win, but now I'm not too sure. I think if it came down to hand-to-hand close combat, I think Ethan wins.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction that I'm leaning in as well.
Because I mean, we can't forget, like, Ethan almost beat Percy.
Yeah. With the Curse of Achilles, though he did manage to backstab Percy, there is also another factor in this, being that it's implied via Percy's conversation with the river spirits that the Curse of Achilles is called the Curse of Achilles for a reason. People think that they are invulnerable when they have it, but in actuality, they very much are not.
It's very, very, very close. If I were to make a quick prediction, I still think that Piper wins, but I'm very curious where this goes.
It seems we're gonna have to look at the stats to nail this one out for sure. So, starting things off with Ethan, since he was the first one pulled, and starting off with intellect.
He's pretty smart guy, guys. I'm pretty sure he's pretty smart. Like, I don't think he's like a top notch. Honestly, we don't get too much of him. I would probably say he's like a 3.
Yeah, I feel comfortable putting him at a 3.
Fair enough. Like, he's certainly skilled. He certainly has been through a lot, and he certainly would have some help having been a part of Luke's army along with a number of other demigods.
Let's go with that. All right. What would be his strength?
3 for intellect. As a demigod, he's definitely strong, but being the child of a minor god, he's not as strong as, say, Percy or Jason or Hazel.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even put him as, because Nemesis is kind of like one of the minor goddesses. Like, I wouldn't even put him as strong as like a child of Apollo, for instance. But he is definitely strong. I mean, maybe I feel like another 3, maybe.
And I think this next one's gonna be the kind of toughest one. It's the powers. How are we feeling about that?
Yeah, having lived as harsh of a life as he no doubt has, yeah, I'm definitely going to give him a 3. Yeah, both of them possess largely intangible powers. Even the supposed lucky strike he had against Percy, even that is speculation, but I was putting forth the statement from the river spirits because is this just a negative side effect of the curse, or is it something that Ethan specifically knew? But then again, no one else ever really gets a lucky shot at Percy like Ethan does. I guess aside from Luke in the throne room fight.
I remember Kronos asked him, like, you knew where his weak spot was, and he just said he was just going for a hit. He wasn't trying to hit anything specifically. I think his power worked as more as like something he couldn't control, right? He didn't know where it was, but his body just knew where it was. Right. It's very interesting to think about. It doesn't sound like he can control it.
I don't know, I feel for powers, I would also maybe put him at a 3, just because this is like the only power we can theorize that he has. And if he does have it, I don't think he realizes he has it at the point of his death. So he can't control it, exactly. I think if given more time, maybe he could have. But from what we've seen from him, I don't think he has full control over it yet.
I was going to give him a 2 as a result of that, because 3 is about average for powers.
Let's do a 2, yeah. I can't disagree. I don't think...
As well as power was useful in this particular situation, fighting someone who's very powerful but has a weak spot that, if struck, would take him down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I can see it too.
I feel like him not being able to control the power is what really screws him over, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, I completely agree with the 2.
So, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that may be the deciding factor. Practice and understanding of one's abilities.
But now we have his skill.
This is probably his best category, all things considered. Having lived a harsher life than many demigods, specifically as the child of a minor goddess, before they were allowed to join Olympus and before their children were allowed to join camp. He had to have been on his own before he was brought in to potentially join Luke's army. And we need to remember that the tryout Luke effectively had for joining the army was him fighting Percy. And Percy didn't want to fight him until Ethan revealed that he was backstabbing Percy. I'm going with a 3 for skill. Not one of the best, but definitely not nothing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would have even given him maybe a 4, just because I do think he is skilled in battle. But I could also see a 3. Like, he's a very middle ground demigod. Like, he's definitely not weak, but he's not top either, you know?
I feel like, based off all of that, theoretically he's a 4. But the problem is we don't really see too much of him in the series. And I feel like that definitely does hold him back. For me, for him to giving him a 4, I kind of more agree with the 3.
So we're in agreement, giving him a 3?
Even worse than Mallory, wow. I think it's his power being just like hard to understand. It's what kills him.
I was going to say, even worse than Mallory.
And that's going to bring our total to 11 for Ethan. I honestly expected him to do better.
I did too.
So, moving over to Piper. Starting off with our first category, intellect.
I feel like Piper is a 4.
A 4? Interesting. She is definitely emotionally intelligent and is perceptive and quick-thinking enough to handle the quest in Heroes of Olympus.
I just feel like intuitively Piper really understands people. and that helps her strategize in battle and figure out ways out of situations that other demigods necessarily wouldn't have.
For sure. You even saw it in the Blood of Olympus, where her and Annabeth took down that giant, and even Annabeth was like, I need your opinion, I need your help, because she started to rely on Piper's opinion, which is, I think, a big respect. If Annabeth is like, yo, I need your opinion, I think that pretty much says how smart she is and how much she values her intellect. I would give her a 4, not as much as Annabeth, but...
In that fight, there's the fact that Annabeth was still being affected by her memories from Tartarus. Hang on, when was this situation you're talking about? The Blood of Olympus? Was this the Fear Giant who was messing with Annabeth because of her memories from Tartarus?
I believe it was.
An interesting point. A complaint that I actually had with Heroes of Olympus was that Piper solves just about every one of her problems by just charm speak it. Like when she wakes Jason up when he was falling to his death, she just tells him to wake up. Brings Festus back to life by just telling him. Though it was better when she figured out that subtle manipulation was the best way to get around people. This is especially important towards the end of Blood of Olympus when she has to charm speak all of the giants in order to occupy them just long enough.
Fair evaluation. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're gonna give her a 4 for intellect. Strength.
That's a good one, actually. She's not particularly, like, physically strong, I'd say.
Yeah, so strength I feel like is kind of her weakest category.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we don't really see her doing any heavy lifting or like any jumping on monsters and stabbing them or anything like that.
Yeah, she's definitely more of the, I'm gonna talk and strategize my way out of this situation. So I feel like for strength, I would even give her maybe a 2.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
As a demigod, she's definitely strong, but probably not as strong as, say, most other demigods who have had a lot more direct physical combat experience than her.
And then I think the powers are just straight to 5, guys.
Charm Speak is a very different kind of power from what most of the other characters have, but since it can directly manipulate a combatant and possibly mess them up, or even cause them to sabotage themselves, combine this with her ability to read people, think on her feet, and her practice manipulating people subtly, yeah, we gotta give her a 5 for this.
Skill.
Skill is probably her weakest category, I would say, and that's primarily due to the fact that outside of charm-speaking manipulation, which is definitely not nothing, she does have a sword.
She does have a sword. And she has the blowgun now, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, alright, I forgot about the blowgun.
Which I think gives her some good distance, you know? Because, like you said, she's not good close up. Like, in a sword fight, she's not... I mean, I can't even think of any demigod she may beat. So, like, I think the blowgun gives her an advantage, because now she can kind of back off and fight from a distance. And, like, she mixes up her own poisons, too, I think, for it.
The vast majority of the combatants we've looked at probably wouldn't even know much about the blowgun or the poison she could mix up with it. I'd forgotten about the blowgun, but we do know that she knows how to use it well enough to use it in combat. We've seen her knock out guards without them knowing that she was there with it.
Yeah. So I feel like that maybe bumps her skill up to at least a 3.
I would have to agree with that, yeah. Range is important.
Alright, let's give her a 3. So, Piper pulls a victory here, 11-14.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, definitely one of the more even matches that we've seen, but Piper's greater understanding and practice with her own abilities definitely would earn her a victory here.
I think it's also very important for us to consider that she is still a child of the 7 in the prophecy, and they were considered some of the more powerful demigods
Of their generation.
So, like, obviously I would say she's one of the weaker ones, in my opinion, but I mean, she's still a part of that. And, like, just to put her over Ethan, like, or for her to be under Ethan wouldn't really make sense, especially considering her charm speak and how powerful it really is. She's just a clear choice for the winner here, but I wouldn't say she's like I think Ethan definitely has more skill and more strength, obviously, but you can't beat intellect and powers in this instance.
Very different kind of intellect from what we've been using as our standard the whole time, Annabeth, but one that is very important in a fight.
Was that the last one, or was there another one? I forget.
I think that was our last one.
Now that is the last one. That's gonna wrap things up for this video. Thank you both so much for joining me on this.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. I'm Kylan Mythos, and I will see you all next time. Oops, I got her again. I gotta run it again.
Zoe versus Zoe.
I think Zoe wins.
I got Carter Kane. Do we want to do him again? Or do we want somebody else?
I would spin again. Just because I feel like Carter wipes the floor with Ethan.
It's almost worse than Mallory. And then I think the powers are just straight to 5 guys. 5 guys.
5 guys.
Yep.
Good burgers.
5 guys.
I got my friend into Percy Jackson recently, and he's so into like all the powers and all the like little details like that. He's gonna absolutely feast on this video for sure.
Awesome.
I hope he enjoys it.
100%. He's gonna be like critiquing.
Awesome.
He's gonna be critiquing every little thing, so I'm ready to hear it.